Starfield is a very good game. Now, let me say it like this. It's not a great game. It's not an amazing game. It's not a perfect game. It's a 7.5 out of 10 game. So it's very enjoyable for me. Up until this point, I've played about 40 hours. I've not done much main story-wise. I've done the 3-star collective faction quest. I'm a ranger now. I have several weapons. I have a new ship that I haven't built myself, but I got it through a faction. 3-star collective, obviously. It's pretty cool because I have way more cargo space, which is something I focused on my character as well, which still can be an issue. I'm not trying to be a hoarder, so it's not that big of an issue for me, but I knew I would have to get carry weight perks or whatever that game had in store for me, which actually does help a lot on top of the cargo space on the new ship I've gotten. So that is positive so far. As a Bethesda game, it still has that Bethesda effect where you have the wonder of exploration. It's not as good as earlier titles that they made, like Oblivion, Morrowind, Skyrim. Even Fallout 4 has a better wonder of exploration element to it, because you can walk from one side of the map to the other, basically. That actually makes a huge difference. And in Starfield, you can see a mountain in the distance that you want to go to. It's interesting. There seems to be something on the top, and when you get to that place, it seems that you can go to the mountain or to the top of the mountain, but you can't, because you can't go there. There's like a barrier, basically, which has been in the earlier games as well. It just doesn't feel the same as in Skyrim, where you can go from one side of the map to the other, and multiple things, many things can happen. An assassin try to kill you from the Dark Brotherhood. You see a Nordic ruin, you go there, you explore that. You see a Dwemer ruin, you go there, you explore that, and maybe you pick up some quests along the way. Maybe you encounter the main story again and you continue the main story. Then you find an NPC that has some other quests for you, which is faction related. Stuff like that is in Starfield as well, kind of. It's just kind of spread out in a weird way because of the planet system, procedural generation system, so that it's still there, it's still good, it's just not as good. That's kind of criticism, but also not really, because it's also good. Now, back to something that is really good, is design of items in general in the game. You can see that they've taken care of that element very well. Everything looks great, high quality, and that immerses you in the game. And in a NASA punk style, grounded sci-fi universe they've created with Starfield. So that's a great, honestly, that's one of the greater elements of the game. Another great element of the game is the soundtrack in general, which creates an amazing atmosphere on top of just being a great soundtrack by Sir. He also made the soundtrack to Fallout 4, which I actually prefer to listen to over the radio when I play Fallout 4. So that's a great element. And the combat is actually the best gunplay style combat Bethesda has ever made. It's basically better than Fallout 4, which I think is a great combat system with the VATS, but mostly just moving around. Combat gameplay wise is very good. And I gotta say, like I said before, I touched on it a little bit. I'm ignoring the main story because I've heard some things that I really dislike. So I'm actually just doing side quests, miscellaneous quests, whatever I find when I'm out and exploring, factions, obviously. I did a 3-star collective, and that's been enjoyable so far. Visiting cities, obviously, in Neon, New Atlantis, just exploring around. And another thing that I don't like is straight up, I just dislike it a lot, is the ship combat and just being in a ship in space. I just immediately fast travel where I want to go. I'm a fast travel enjoyer in this game. I think that's actually a good element they've added. A lot of people criticize it for having too much fast travel. I look at that as a positive for me. So it's like a curse thing there for me. It's good to have fast travel because being in space, flying around, is so bad to me. So another big minus is obviously the bugs in the game. I don't understand how this is the most polished game. It still has the same creation engine style bugs that Oblivion and Skyrim has. It's about the same there. I would have to put that in the minus bucket. Just like you put a bucket on the head of an NPC and then they're essentially blind. I guess that's kind of not a bug, it's just a funny thing that they put into the game. And the facial animations are very unfitting at times, uncanny expressions when you're talking and you're in dialogue with the NPCs, but the dialogue system is pretty good. So again, a kiss curse element. Something's good, something's bad. But in the end, it's a 7.5 out of 10 game. It's enjoyable, it's very good. That's it.